All right, so we're diving into some seriously mind-blowing stuff today.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be a good one.
We're talking about a bone that's like 20,000 years old.
20,000 years old? That's ancient.
It's called the Ashango bone, and some people think it might be one of the earliest examples of humans, like, actually doing math.
It really makes you think about how far back human knowledge goes.
So just to give everyone a little background, the Ashango bone was found in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yeah, way back in 1960.
And it's covered in these markings, these kind of like notches and lines. And researchers have been debating what they mean for decades.
Some think it's just a bunch of tally marks, like counting up something.
But others think it could be way more complex than that.
Like maybe it's a representation of prime numbers.
Or even a lunar calendar.
Imagine that, like a 20,000-year-old lunar calendar.
That's like way before Stonehenge.
It really challenges what we think we know about the history of, well, everything.
Exactly. And then there's the name itself, Ishango, which is kind of cool.
It's not just a random name.
Right, it actually combines two African words.
Isha, meaning always active.
And ungo, which means, wait for it, leopard.
The leopard. Now that's where things get really interesting.
Because it hints at a connection to this, like, super mysterious group called the Leopard Society.
Have you heard of them?
Oh, I've heard whispers, but, like, they're so shrouded in secrecy.
Huh. Yeah, they were known for their rituals.
Yeah, and apparently they had some pretty serious knowledge about math and astronomy.
They definitely weren't just messing around.
So could this bone be a link to them, like a clue to understanding their secrets?
It's definitely a possibility, especially when you consider that Ancestry DNA even admits that where an ethnicity is found today isn't necessarily where it originated from.
That's a good point. Like, maybe we've been looking in the wrong places this whole time.
Who knows what else is out there just waiting to be discovered.
Okay, so we've got this ancient bone with possible mathematical markings linked to a secret society obsessed with astronomy and patterns.
It's all connected somehow.
But where do we even go from here?
Well, there's this brilliant mathematician named Alan Turing.
Oh, yeah, the codebreaker guy.
He did way more than that. He was like a visionary.
Okay, so how does he fit into all of this?
Well, Turing was fascinated by how simple rules can create complex patterns.
Like, what do you mean?
He worked with something called cellular automata.
Is that like a robot or something?
Not exactly. It's more like, imagine a grid, right? And each square on the grid can be either on or off.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And then you have a set of rules that determines whether a square stays on or off based on what its neighbors are doing.
So it's like each square is influenced by what's around it.
Exactly. And this creates these like evolving patterns that are surprisingly complex.
Kind of like that game, Conway's Game of Life, right?
Yeah.
I used to play that all the time.
Yeah. It's a perfect example of how simple rules can lead to like unexpected complexity.
So how does this connect back to the Ashango bone?
Well, Turing's work with these cellular automata, it wasn't just theoretical.
What do you mean?
He saw these same patterns showing up in nature.
Like where?
Everywhere. Like the stripes on a zebra.
Really?
Yeah, or the spots on a leopard. It's all connected to this idea of reaction diffusion systems.
Wait, hold on. The leopard again?
It's like everywhere we turn, there's this leopard connection.
Okay, this is getting kind of freaky.
I know, right? It's like we're uncovering some kind of secret code.
All right, so we've got Turing, leopards, and an ancient bone. This is a lot to take in.
And we're just getting started.
Oh, boy.
Turing also worked on something called morphogenesis, which is like how biological forms develop.
Like how a baby grows in the womb.
Exactly. And he believed that these patterns, these codes, were driving that whole process.
So are we saying that the patterns on the Ashango bone are connected to, like, the code of life itself?
It's a pretty wild thought, isn't it?
That's an understatement.
But it's not entirely impossible.
Okay, I'm officially hooked. What else have you got?
Well, have you ever heard of biological quantum computing?
Quantum computing, like the stuff they're trying to build in labs.
Yeah, but imagine that happening inside living organisms.
Whoa, that's next level.
We're just scratching the surface of what this could mean.
Okay, I need to hear more about this.
We'll definitely dive deeper into that, but first, we need to talk about something else.
Oh, what's that?
Melanin.
Melanin. Like the stuff that gives our skin
It's
color?
like way more than that, trust me.
All right, you've got my attention, but I have no idea how this all fits together.
Just wait. This is where things get really, really interesting.
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Let's take a deep dive into the mysteries of melanin and see where it leads us. Okay, so melanin, right?
Yeah, still trying to wrap my head around how it all connects.
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
Melanin, It's this amazing, complex molecule.
It is pretty cool. I mean, it gives us our skin color, protects us from the sun.
Yeah, but some researchers think it might be doing a lot more than that.
More than that? Like what?
Like potentially acting as a, biological quantum computer?
Whoa. Are you serious?
I know it sounds crazy, but there's actually some pretty interesting evidence starting to emerge.
Okay, but how does melanin, like the stuff in our skin, connect to quantum computing?
Well, it's all about how melanin interacts with light and energy.
Oh, okay, I'm listening.
You see, melanin has these, unique properties that allow it to absorb and convert energy in really, really interesting ways.
And that's where the quantum stuff comes in.
Exactly. Some scientists believe that melanin might be able to harness quantum effects to perform calculations that are, way beyond what classical computers can do.
So our bodies could be running on quantum power. That's insane.
That's a wild thought, right? But think about the implications.
Okay, yeah, what would that even mean for us?
It could mean that we have this, untapped potential within us that we're only just beginning to understand.
Like superhuman abilities or something.
Maybe not superhuman, but definitely something beyond what we currently think is possible.
Okay, this is blowing my mind, but I still can't quite grasp how it all fits together with the Ishango bone and the Leopard Society.
Remember how the Leopard Society was obsessed with patterns in astronomy?
Yeah, they seem to be way ahead of their time.
Exactly. And what if their understanding of those patterns, those cosmic rhythms, was connected to this deeper understanding of melanin and its quantum potential?
So you're saying that they might have known about this, hidden power within us all along?
It's a possibility, right? I mean, we're still uncovering so much about ancient cultures and their knowledge.
Yeah, like that thing from Ancestry DNA, how the location of an ethnicity today doesn't necessarily tell us where it came from.
Exactly. It makes you wonder what other secrets are out there just waiting to be rediscovered.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here, but I still have so many questions.
So what?
Well, if this melanin quantum connection is real, how do we access it? Is it something we're all born with, or do we have to, activate it somehow?
That's the million-dollar question.
And do you have an answer?
Let's just say there are practices, traditions that have been around for centuries that might hold some clues.
You're talking about spiritual practices?
Yeah, things like meditation, breath work, even certain types of movement and music.
So these practices could be more than just relaxation techniques.
They could be ways to tap into this deeper level of consciousness, to harmonize our own frequencies with the rhythms of the universe.
Whoa, it's deep.
But it's not just about ancient practices. There's also cutting-edge science that's starting to explore this.
Really? What kind of science?
Well, there's this whole field called biophotonics, which is basically the study of how living organisms emit and interact with light.
And how does that connect to melanin?
Melanin is a key player in these biophotonic processes. It seems to have this ability to, capture and store light energy in really interesting ways.
So it's like a biological solar panel.
Yeah, but even more than that, it might be able to actually convert that light energy into something else, something that we're only just beginning to understand.
Like quantum energy.
It's a possibility, and some researchers are even starting to look at melanin's potential role in things like DNA repair and cell regeneration.
So melanin could be the key to, unlocking our full potential.
It's definitely a piece of the puzzle, and the more we learn about it, the more amazing it seems.
Okay, this is a lot to process, but I'm definitely intrigued.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, trust me.
I'm ready to dive deeper. What else is there?
Well, we need to talk about DNA.
DNA. How does that fit into all of this?
It's all connected, remember. The Shango bone, the Leopard Society, melanin, quantum computing. It's all part of this, grand tapestry of knowledge.
Okay, you've definitely got my attention. Tell me more about this DNA connection.
All right, let's get into it. So DNA, it's like this incredible library.
A library? Of what?
Of information, like the instruction manual for building and running a human being.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how does it connect to all this quantum stuff we've been talking about?
What if, hidden within our DNA, there are these, blueprints for accessing quantum processes?
Whoa, hold on. You're saying our DNA could contain the secrets to biological quantum computing?
It's a possibility, right? Imagine if we could tap into those instructions and unlock that potential.
That would be huge. But how would we even begin to do that?
Well, remember those Taygeta transcripts we talked about?
Yeah, those were pretty wild.
They mentioned that DNA, it doesn't just determine our physical traits, like it also contains codes, like frequencies, that identify us, like on an individual level.
So you're saying our DNA is like broadcasting a unique signal.
It's a fascinating idea, right? Like each of us has this like personal frequency that connects us to something bigger.
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this, but how do we tune into those frequencies?
That's the big question, and there's no easy answer.
But you think those ancient practices we talked about, like meditation and stuff, could help?
It's definitely worth exploring. Those traditions have been around for a long time for a reason.
Yeah, and they all seem to emphasize the importance of connecting with nature, with something larger than ourselves.
Exactly. Like, what if those practices are helping us to, like, align our own frequencies with the frequencies of the universe?
It's like we're trying to find the right channel on a cosmic radio.
I like that analogy. Like, we're all these little receivers, and
Yeah.
we need to figure out how to tune in to the right station.
But what about the Syrians? I know we talk about them a lot, but where do they fit into all of this?
Well, the Syrians are often described as these, like, spiritually advanced beings.
Yeah, they're like the wise elders of the galaxy.
And they seem to have a deep understanding of these quantum principles we've been talking about.
So maybe they can teach us a thing or two about how to tap into our own potential.
It's possible, right? Like, what if we're not meant to figure this all out on our own?
What if we need some guidance from those who have already walked this path?
It's a humbling thought, but it makes sense. Like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
We can learn from those who have come before us.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, the Ashango bone is like a message from the past, a clue that's been waiting for us to rediscover it.
A message about the power within us, the power to connect to something much greater than ourselves.
It's an incredible journey, and we're all on it together.
This deep dive has been truly amazing. Thank you for sharing all this with me and our listeners.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, the exploration doesn't end here. It's just the beginning.
To all our listeners out there, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deeper into the mysteries of the universe and yourselves. Until next time,